Good morning. Let's get the screen enlarged and some bird song on. Now, I was saying to Viv just before we started that I think we're going to miss off that waterfall that's on the right side because it's going to look weird. Do you agree, Kath? It's just going to, I think it'll look like a grey blob down the right side of the left side. Sorry, the left side. This waterfall morning. But I don't think it'll look right when we do it. So maybe we'll just do it as light coming through the wood a little bit. Do you think?
Yeah, we could do, couldn't we?
Because we're on an elevated plane looking down, and I just don't think it will work.
I thought you were over biscuits there.
Thank you. I thought you might be getting biscuits.
Why? Somebody said I was getting biscuits.
Kath said no. I said you were getting biscuits, and Kath said yes. That's where you went.
That's it.
So today it's going to be more about what we don't draw than and the black paper. I just thought it was quite spooky and intriguing because there's hardly anything going on. And when you think about those trees, we are going to have to draw the trees in order to avoid them. But I just think it's a really cool picture. But it's knowing what colour to draw the trees in. Now, I could use black, but I don't think... No, you won't. I won't see the black. I'll use the dark brown instead. So, for me, a lot of it we're going to do by eye. But the main tree is that big one at the front. And that is about 4 fingers in from the left. I've got my rights and lefts the wrong way around. 4 fingers in from the left, right, and 4 fingers up from the bottom. And for me, it's a generous thumb width, and it's fairly straight up. So I'll do it in this brown, because we can always rub it out, can't we? So we'll have a nice big tree then. And then it's got that... I'm going to change the shape of that rock to the right of it, because it'll look too much like a sponge ball or a cake or something. So I'm just going to stick a rock there. Looks a bit like a potato or a sleeping hedgehog. Photographer from the Telegraph come yesterday afternoon to take photographs of me.
Really?
Yes, I did it. I've done it. They're doing a piece on the impact of the economic downturn on small businesses and the effect of that on the mental health of small business owners. So I had to be very brutally honest and lay the cards on the table of how things are. Because no point in having a report if you're going to lie and say everything's great, is there, really? And she said, do you mind if we have a photographer come? I wasn't expecting that. But it's actually quite good because what happens is when they take about, 80 photographs in different things. But when the photographer has the one selected, because they get paid either way, they can then send me the rest of the photographs. So they're good.
Yeah.
Because when The Guardian came, that photographer was here for 4 hours.
Really?
For a piece on The Guardian that I did during lockdown. And but then I've got all of those photographs, and it's just good quality photos instead of selfies all the time, And I was on Capital Radio. I'll be on Capital Radio on Friday, a recorded interview about why it's important to support small businesses on Black Friday rather than just buy online for things that you don't really need. So that's quite fun. So about 2 fingers up from the bottom of that tree is sort of the background line. There's more rocks. The drawing class were moaning about rock practice yesterday, Kath.
I'm not surprised. Was that Brunswick Bay?
It was, yes.
I recognised it.
Yeah, it was.
I'm fed up because no one puts their pictures on.
I know, they're naughty, aren't they?
Them.
I will tell them next week. And since it's for you, Kath, they'll oblige.
No, they won't. They'll say, oh no, not her again.
They
How
will
many
oblige.
fingers up?
2 fingers up from the bottom of your tree, and I've just done...
From the bottom of the tree?
Yeah, because it's probably about 6 fingers from the bottom of your paper. Ish. So we want the right hand side to just sort of like meld away into nothingness, don't we? So I'm going to give you free rein to draw a few trees in that are roughly a pencil width or thinner. I'll do, and it don't matter if they're not straight because they're trees, aren't they? That line comes a little bit forward there, and there's another thin one. It's amazing how thin these trees are. That one can lean. I might not do as many trees as there are in the picture. Depends if I've got the inclination or not.
That's not the spirit, Aaron.
Well, I've got 5 trees now in the picture, and you're supposed to have an odd number, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I'll either have to do 5 or do 2 more. I'll do 2 spooky ones. I'll do 2 hints of one in the misty bit on the right and then one on the far left. Something like that.
Start to lose track of which bit is the tree and which bit is
Yeah.
the background, don't
Yeah.
you?
You do.
It's not been too tricky yet, has it?
No, not yet.
I am going to kind of... I've put that little line of a path of this bit. It's kind of layers, and this is going to... It technically should go up higher, but I don't really know if I want it to. Because the path is sort of... kind of triangular like that, isn't it? It's quite a wide path, actually. My heating is on timer and it's set for 14 degrees, and it kicked in a couple of times this week.
That's
It
it.
must be my house is cold. I have the wood burner on in the evening, but I got so soaked last night in the hail and the rain walking to the car that I had to hang my trousers up in front of my wood burner and my shoes in front of it to just to dry them out for this morning, because I got so, I couldn't believe how much it was hammering down, and I thought it was rain, and then you start crunching on the floor and you know it's hail.
Yeah.
So it must have been chilly for hail. Right. That's moss on the trees, isn't it? That speckly stuff. Or is it tree bark?
I think it's bark.
Bark.
It's definitely bark.
Bark.
I think you've got a little bit of moss at the bottom.
Yeah, and then the
then
speckle,
it
the
goes
white
up into-
speckles is
Looks like you've got moss coming up on the right hand side of the big tree at the front.
yes.
Tell I put my glasses on today, can't you?
How you doing, Kath?
I'm alright, I'm just putting the path.
An idea of the path. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be. Well, I can't think of the word. It's not a definite line, is it? The path
No.
kind of is part of the grass. You know, it's worn away, and
Right, I've finished.
I want to go home now.
Inside.
So I don't want to do. Ooh,
Got customers on the stand.
oh, I know what that is. Thanks. I'm not doing the waterfall, but what I will do
I'm
is.
sure about that one.
Well, I'm going to use some white, and it's going to be in that direction, and then I'm going to smudge it. But if somebody says it doesn't look like a waterfall, it looks like the sky, I'm not going to argue with them, you know. Because it is just weird. And then I'm going to use my finger, or my cotton bud. I'll use my cotton bud to make it a bit hazier. There's a bit of light at the very top as well, isn't there? That's actual sky. So it all depends how many trees you've done. I find if I want to really obliterate a colour and tone it down, that's when I use my finger, because the moisture in your skin tends to tweak the pastel a bit more, whereas the cotton bud, not always. But actually it's the light that's going to define where these trees are, so I'm going to do a little bit more light. Just so it starts setting the scene a little. It is so dark out there. Do you know, I think I'm going to give you a dark green pencil as well. I think you might find that a bit useful today. So I'm being very subtle. I'm probably too subtle now. And I'm wondering, have I gone in between the trees, or have I accidentally gone over the top of the trees? And no, I think I'm alright. I'm going to use a little bit of the dark green that isn't going to show up very much, but it will just tint either side these trees. I don't really want to do anything too severe. We did something with a bluebell wood on black paper, didn't we? Were you here for that, Kath, or were you away for that one?
I've certainly worked on black paper before.
I can't remember. We must have done the bluebell wood round about May. Or was it a spooky wood? I can't remember. So you can hardly see the green that I've put on there. Wanted to be suggestive. You could use a little bit of yellow ochre in there if you wanted, but again, always soften with your finger to just hint. I might go this side with a bit of yellow ochre as well. Just so you, oh, it's starting to loom. We like a bit of a loom. So just the amount of pressure you add when you blend will make a big difference, and also how much pastel pencil you put on will make a huge difference. Can all start looming a little. I'm going to go a little bit brighter. This might be a session where we just nearly all use pencils, you know, Kath.
Could be, couldn't it?
Because there's a lot of...
Where have you put green over the
well, I've...
right?
No, hang on.
You haven't put any over the right.
No, I've got nothing over the right at all. So you can see I've
Oh, I
just got...
see, yeah.
I'm keeping that dark for now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite haunting, isn't it? Yeah. See, the colour doesn't show up as much on the screen yet. But I'm being a bit stingy with it, I think. Because this is actually black watercolour paper. So it's a different texture to pastel paper, but it's nice to work with. So I'm kind of going to leave the trees alone a little and go a little bit stronger with the yellow ochre. still gonna, instead of really harshly blending it, I'm just gonna tap it with my finger a little, just so, because we need this ledge that we're on to stand out a little bit more than the background, because it's coming forward. So I'll use a bit of yellow ochre and the dark green, and then sort of blend it down so that it gets darker as it comes towards the middle of the paper. Is that a rep?
Yeah, it's still.
Oh, I thought it was going on Friday.
No.
It's today.
Yes.
About that easel, the bit for that easel for that customer, and that pencil. Yes, please. We haven't got any lino cutting handles and tools. We've got the blades, but we haven't got any lines, so we might need to add that on.
Oh, we could just do that.
Yeah.
I won't make an order. I'll just tap.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because I still owe Mo.
Oh, he knows
So.
that. I'm sure he will.
So we want it to sort of be a little bit spooky. You could try a bit of the lighter green pencil on there if the dark green isn't doing it for you. Have you not got your on your
And here,
no, on your that's it.
that one.
Yes.
Ah.
It looks yellow but it is green.
Ah.
It's like a mushy pea green.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
See, that rock is mossy. But I'm consciously trying to leave bits out and have darker pieces so it gives us layers, but it's knowing what to miss out and what to put in, isn't it? I think that's always the tricky thing, and you may not get that right. So that's what the black pencil is here to fill in anything that we shouldn't have filled in. And then I'm sort of feathering this green into where the path is going to go. Just in case. And that's a lighter tree there. Ooh, yeah. Have to work on the trees in a second. So as we start adding more of these, I'm not going to go too close to the right foreground, because otherwise I know I'm going to end up leaning on it and smudging it all up my jumper. So I'm going to work on some trees in a minute, but So again, if you want to just give a hint of the colour change and you want it to slightly blend, tap with your finger. If you want it to fully blend, smudge with your finger with a bit more pressure. I'd love to walk along this forest. I bet you've been here, Kath, because it's a Lake District.
I could well have.
Whinlatter Forest.
Oh, I have.
And is it magical?
Yes. Yes.
I thought you might have.
Yeah.
So you've been here.
And Brunswick Bay I've been, you see, that's why I felt it rather. They liked doing it.
Did they? They did, but because there's a lot of rocks on the front by the beach, that's what they hated. They're anti-rock, the drawing class.
And waterfalls.
And waterfalls. But do you know what? I gave Liz a gold star yesterday because she actually did some really good rocks.
Did she?
Yeah.
They are difficult, aren't they?
They are. The rep that we've got in today is one that we fell out with. We fell out with their company a couple of months ago.
Ooh.
So I think he's kind of he's here on a peacekeeping mission. It's funny, really. I've ordered a few bits from them, but I did say I'd have to reassess my working relationship with them. It's funny. Let's go for a little. The light is coming from the left, isn't it, really, as well?
Yeah.
So that should help us. What do you want? What colour do you want?
Sort of sienna, you know,
A darker brown or a
kind of a burnt sienna.
reddish one?
Yeah.
Let's have a look in my pot for you.
I think you found me one before when I've whittled at you.
Doesn't sound like you.
Thank you.
Try that
That's
one.
the one.
Now that should be a bit brighter. You can stick
I
that
love
somewhere.
these colours.
They're nice, aren't they? Because you're right, it is more of a warm reddy brown on the
It's like brackens.
yeah
Isn't it?
on this side. But I'll probably soften. I had a lady, well, I was downstairs yesterday afternoon getting the drinks order for the class, and a lady had walked past and she deliberately come and take a photograph of our Ebenezer Scrooge in the window, which was quite fun,
Oh,
which is what we want. He is life size, so he's quite big and imposing.
I don't know how you do it, Barry.
Do what? Everything, because I'm just amazing.
Something like that.
You have to just keep coming. The trouble is, you just have to if the business was like really successful and I was raking it in, I probably wouldn't be bothered, you know. But it's having to do all these little things. It's because you have to think, how can we be relevant? How can we get people to look or notice us? How can we? What are we doing this week? So it's only necessity being the mother of invention, really. So So I think I might have to start on the trees in a minute, which is tricky. See, if I've gone too far with and I've done too much green in the background, I can always put a black tree in with a black pencil later on, do you know? So we haven't got to worry about that so much. I keep thinking I've got white paper on my shoulder, but I've got a pale coloured shirt on, and with this loose knit cable jumper, there's an opening in the knitwear, and it's every time I look across my shoulder, I keep knocking this bit of paper off, and there's no paper there. Right, so I'm going to go with a bit of light green up the base of the background trees, only on the left hand side. Might as well moss them all up. Left hand side, because then we can cotton wool it so it graduates to a little bit darker towards the right, because the right side is the dark side. But I might go back in with some little bits because we want a bit of texture. And if I really muck up, I know I've got the black pencil to help me out of an issue. So I've gone up, I don't know, about a finger or a thumb width up my trees with the light green.
You blended that, Barry?
I blended it a little bit with the cotton wool towards the right, but then I've gone back in with a few little extra dabby bits. Might need to get a Banbury Guardian today, because they were writing a piece about Colour Friday, which is the alternative to Black Friday, and they did it online last week, but I don't know if it'll make it to the real paper this week. So it's very expensive now, the Banbury Guardian, isn't it? It's like £1.80 and it's nearly all adverts. I used to like it when you had the Banbury Cake and the Banbury Guardian, and they were full of local news, but now it's all outsourced and they hot desk, so it's not, they haven't even got an office anymore. They just share desk space up Mewburn Road in an office block, so it's not really, and they've got, what, 2 reporters and 1 photographer, that's it. So whenever I do anything, I literally send them the article with quotes. I send them my own photographs, and then all they do is they change 3 words and then publish it. It's the only way, because if you have to wait for them to come, they'll never turn up. So I'm going to go with the white pencil, and I'm going to go quite dotty randomly over the left side of the tree, so we can start building up the texture of the bark. But the paper texture should help quite well with this. We want it to feel magical. I might do a slight little hint of white, a very thin line around the dark side of the tree, just to make, can you see that little perforated line I've just created? Brings that tree forward, that really thin line on that right side.
Yeah, you need that.
Because you don't want to outline it, do you? Because I mean that would look
Yeah.
wrong. But little dotty perforations just gives us enough of a hint. I do love trees. We've had a few students say, "Can we not do landscapes, please, next year?" But a lot of people do enjoy landscapes. But I have decided I am mixing it up next year. There's far more different things going on, so I do listen. So more concentration of dots on the left side. See, I might add a bit of the darker green in there. But I suppose the branches are going to have to be a very soft white. So this, I will warn you, it could end up looking like a frosty scene. Because these branches are so soft and thin and pale. That the only way to do them is white. And where they cross over a coloured area, you can do them black. There's a name for that, and that's called counter change. And have I told you about counter change before?
No.
So if the best way I can describe what counter change is, if you're painting a landscape, a sunny landscape with a lake, and you've got a white fishing boat with a very long white mast, where that mast is over the dark water and the land, the mast is white, but where it goes over the pale sky, the white mast would disappear. So you make it a pale grey mast instead, so it goes pale grey into white, so it stands out, and that's called counter change, when you change the colour of an object part way through, depending on what it's in front of or behind or what have you. So it's a really interesting device, yeah, and once you learn it, you'll see it everywhere.
So these branches are just
little wispy sticks, yeah, and you can tap them with your finger if you want to soften them even more. I kind of like it looking a bit frosty, actually. And some of these trees I'm going to start outlining with my little perforated lines on both sides, and then I'll go a little bit stronger. Nice and spooky. That's what we want. These trees just must be normal fir trees, because Douglas firs lose their branches, don't they? Low down. I'm going to do all the trees in the background the same, and what I may do is use the black pencil where I want branches that are coming over the pale grey bits that we added earlier on. Or even to put some thin distant trees in. And if you were going to think about putting sort of ghost trees in, you can just do it in a white edge. And then just rub it with your finger. So like the same sort of perforated outline. Because there is actually, I've still got one bigger tree there to do. Then there's the massive tree, which we'll do later. But there is a tree that disappears further up here on the right side in that blackness. So I'm going to just do it like that and then rub it with my finger. So it's there. But not there. Can you see how I've done that tree? So it's there but not there. I'm going to bring that so I can show you in real life.
Yeah.
So it's there but
not there.
Ooh, look at you go, Kat. All of your trees.
Right. So you just smudged that.
Yeah, I've kind of done a perforated outline and smudged it a little bit because I really want it to disappear. But you could put loads of trees on, to be fair. You could add way more than you've got. Could do another little thin wispy one there. Where it just catches the light more than anything. Oh, it's nearly cup of tea time. I'm going to do that slightly bigger tree that's in the background. Let the texture of the bark do it, but I think I'll have to put a bit more brown and black back in. To give me more tone. There's not many branches on that tree, is there? This the bigger one. Not the huge one. I'm not doing that one yet, but. Looking quite dramatic. It's feeling very Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs vibes for me, you know, where the huntsman's after a. It's amazing what you can do with a fairly limited palette, though, isn't it? Really. And if you want your colours to just really soften, you can dab them with your putty eraser and push them back and bring them forward. Kathy, you having a cup of tea?
Yes, please, Barry.
Viv, what would you like? A cappuccino. lovely.
I'm not sure I've got my branches right though, Barry. I'm not sure about that bit.
Yeah, that's right, that is.
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
because they are
I'm
thin
just
and
gonna leave that.
wispy.
I bit over here. Not very good.
It's amazing though, isn't it? As you get
Yeah.
towards the end, all of a sudden everything seems to come together.
Yeah. We can fiddle about with that when we've done this tree, can't we?
Foot caught in the door. You almost want it to feel like there's a bit of a spotlight on that one section, isn't it? You know, where that little cluster of trees are. That's your spotlight. I do think the trickiest bit is going to be the rocky path.
We'll take it as it comes.
We
back.
will, won't we, Kath? We will. So I want to do the texture of this big old tree, and I'm doing that in exactly the same way, but I've got my pencil slightly on its edge. And then mossy bottom. Bit green. I don't know what I'm going to have to nip to do. Cold out on this land. might stick a little bit of the dark brown in there just to give it a little bit of colour variation. But again, more on the left, less on the right. So this would be an interesting one to do in oils, wouldn't it, Viv?
would, yeah.
Although I'd probably do it a black background first. I think that's going to be the easier option with anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it would be almost
Oh, gosh,
impossible
yeah.
in watercolour.
Yeah. Oh no, that watercolour.
But in acrylics you could do a black background. Black background, I think,
Yeah.
because it's so dark, is the way forward. You'd just be using so much black paint anyway, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Just to keep darkening. At least this way.
You know, I walk around now and I see things, or even things on TV, and I go, oh.
Yeah, this is it. It does open your eyes in so many different ways, doesn't it? I think you appreciate light and dark and colours and far more than maybe we don't look enough. We really don't appreciate what we've got around us.
The TV series Yellowstone, the scenery on that of Montana.
Oh, I bet.
Oh my goodness, it's absolutely incredible. And I look at it and I think,
Did
I need to
anybody?
get some stills of that.
Did you watch Adrian Dunbar last night? My Island.
No.
No, I didn't. I saw
Well,
it advertised. Was
You'll,
it good?
you'll want to go. The scenery in the northwest of Ireland, the Atlantic Highway, I think it's called.
Right.
I thought I'd love to go. It's just stunning. I've been to Ireland and it was completely stunning anyway. But
I have ancestors from Ireland that came over in the potato famine. They were from Athlone in County Westmeath, which looks quite nice.
you could go, Barry. We could go for our birthday.
Yeah.
We could go and do some paint. Is it called plein air?
Yeah, on plein air, painting outside, absolutely.
Perhaps that's the way forward, Barry.
Painting holidays.
Yeah. My brother's a professional golfer, and he's away at the moment in Spain. He takes ladies away for ladies golf.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm not sure how much golf actually gets played because they always seem to be at bar.
Yes.
The 18th hole, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's the same with a lot of things, isn't it? I think it's the enjoyment you get from it all, as well as doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing. I don't know if I need to be a bit more hard-edged on the left-hand side. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Because the trouble is, you want to... See, I'm now looking at this tree and thinking I need to dull you down. Just a little bit. What am I inflicting on you next? Oh, next week is a colourful one. See if I can find next week. We've not finished this one, but I like to show you what next week is. Like ever so colourful. If it's what I think it is. Look at that next week with stars. But we've got a green sky as well.
That's right up my street, that is.
Well, there you go then.
There we go, that's next week. That will probably be on dark blue paper.
Do you know what the acrylics is next week?
I can find out. Oh yeah, I think. Yeah. Okay. This is the acrylic one. It's snowy treetops with a bird in it.
Oh no, I'm doing with that.
It's actually a landscape because you can see the land and the trees beyond, but that don't float your boat. So yeah, that's next week's acrylic.
No, don't even think about it, Barry.
Oh really? Really dark there, and then there's that lovely mossy log, isn't there? Mossy rock. Yeah, with the light green. No, and me, I've leaned on my rock and my sleeves rubbed my rock out. So I'll do the green and then sort of blend it out. Bit looming. I'm going to have it nestled into some grass. So.
Did you put any dark green on?
No, I smudged it and it looked darker because of the black going through. She does. Her coffee's really nice and affordable. It's interesting. Last Thursday I had to go and hang. I've got a painting in the exhibition at the mill, and the only time I could go was in between classes. And I walked from here down Parson Street, through Marketplace, into Castle Quay, and then through to the mill that way. And on my journey there and back, this was the only cafe with people in it.
Was it?
Yeah. All the others just had staff milling around looking bored, whereas this was absolutely heaving. But she's created a lovely atmosphere. It's really friendly downstairs. And it is affordable. And tastes nice.
I said to her last week, she performs a real community service.
It is, absolutely.
She does, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, she has a loyal band of people that come, but then it's so welcoming that so many other people want to be part of it.
I think for anybody, particularly on their own, or
Yes, there's a group of ladies on a Wednesday that come in and knit together, and they make little things seasonal for the Nutkin ward, and they've got a little tree at the bottom of the stairs, and they've got all Christmas things this week that they've all chatted on what they were going to make, and well, it's so nice.
I always wanted to open a coffee shop in Barry years and years ago. Are you a Barry person?
Well, I've lived here for 50 odd years,
You might not remember it then. Do you remember Wilco's coffee shop?
I most certainly do. In fact, I worked there once in a summer, holiday from
Oh, really?
college. Yeah, it was down where Debenhams, down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Well, me and a whole group of friends who were really kind of pub people, I suppose. But on a Saturday, we all used to gather in there.
Yeah.
And it was me and a friend of mine, and the rest of it was all the guys.
Yeah.
We always used to manage to get they had a big round table, I think, in the middle. We always used to get to manage to sit on the big round table, and we'd sit and have our tea in those days.
Yeah.
Tea and all
Golly,
the beautiful
yeah.
cakes that they made
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. Oh, I used to love it in there. Absolutely loved it. Well, when that closed down, my husband's Italian and he's a very, very good cook. When that closed down, we were considering taking it on
Yeah.
and opening an Italian restaurant there.
Oh, how lovely.
But of course, we never got round to. Not that we never got round to. It's just that we never got to do it.
No.
I think in those days it wasn't quite so easy to suddenly start your own business.
Whereabouts in Italy is your husband from?
He's from a little village between Rome and Naples. It's right up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And it's a village that's got a reputation for people to live the longest.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's very much, remember the old Olio adverts?
Yeah.
Olivia or something like that, where you've got like the football team.
Olivia,
That's
spread.
it. Yeah. And it's very much like that. But it's beautiful.
I love Italy. It's my spiritual home. My friends had a house in Umbria,
Oh right, yeah.
not far from Lake Trasimeno, and we went every year to stay with them. And I know Sorrento well.
Well, we're about I think it's about a 4-hour journey.
Yeah.
4 hours north of Sorrento.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really, really lovely.
Look at these lovely magical forests, Jackie.
Lovely. Magical.
It is magical.
Have you offered the lady the biscuit?
Yes, we've had a custard cream.
In that case, I'll wait for the bad about having one myself.
Got to be done, hasn't it?
It has at some point in the day.
Oh, you've got somebody in the shop.
Oh, really? Just as I
This job would be alright if it wasn't for the customers, wouldn't it, Jackie?
Oh, but she'd have to suffer me up here, you see. That's the problem. So she welcomes customers. I've got a bit of light green, but I'm trying to nestle that stone.
We're very much part of Italy that Italians keep themselves.
Yeah.
So you've got the Italians who go to Rome and Naples, or if they
Yeah.
want the beach, they'll go to Sorrento.
Yeah.
But we're in the bit where all the people in Sorrento, if they want the beach, they'll come to us in the summer.
Yeah.
So it's nice because it's very it's not spoilt by tourism at at all.
That's the trouble, though, isn't it? You rely on the tourism for income, but the damage that's done in many ways. I mean, look at poor Venice with the massive ocean liners that have caused so many issues there.
Well, there was a lady that came over to the village a couple of years ago now, and she wrote a book, and the book's called A Year in the Village of Eternity, and then she was going to do Channel 4 was going to do a television series on it. So she went sort of round all the locals and she got all the local recipes and why they thought this village had such long life expectancy and I took her to one side and I said, you do completely the wrong thing. I said, you found this village and now you're trying to put it on the map.
Yeah, and it spent all its life trying not to be on the map. Yeah.
This village, you'll completely lose everything it's ever had.
Yes.
Well,
she didn't like me saying that.
No.
That was like Cortona, wasn't it? Because the American woman who bought a house there and wrote books. What's that called?
Yes.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
And all it means now is that you can't move for Americans.
Yeah. Well, I was really worried about it actually because it is such a and the people go no we want the tourism. I was going you don't want the tourism.
Well, if it's survived for hundreds of years without it, then it doesn't need it.
No. But
because it does
they
cause.
Did actually make the series, the television series.
Oh, they did.
For some reason, they never aired it.
Oh.
I'm sure I would have been onto that.
The book was very well received. Saga took it up. I think the Times ran it.
Maybe people still feel it's got an edge of fiction about it, so they weren't. You know what I mean? Because it's a book, you don't always think of that kind of thing. So it's interesting. But I love discovering things that nobody else has seen and keeping it to yourself. You know, it's your special spot or your special place.
Yeah.
Off the beaten track. I think the people that come here feel a bit like that because although we publicise ourselves all the time, we're not a hot spot. You know, people will still choose Hobbycraft or the range over us, just because they're bigger. And I know it is sad. It is really sad. And there is a misconception that places like that are actually cheaper because they're bigger, whereas actually, and I don't publicise this because I can't, because the Hobbycraft will match it, but our prices are half the Hobbycraft's for a lot of the things for exactly the same product.
Yeah.
There's one of our watercolour pad ranges that theirs is almost double ours unless they have a sale. And yet we know how much markup they'd get because they'd get it as an even better deal than us. And for them to be able to sell it double what we do, they must be making a load of money off it.
Yeah.
I'm avoiding this path at the minute, Kath. Have you noticed?
I have noticed, but I'm ready to crack on.
Are you? You're ready to embrace your rocky pathway. That's lovely, Kath. Do you want to see it from a distance so far?
Please, because I was a bit despairing for a minute, wasn't I, Bill?
Look at that.
That's beautiful. Wow.
I just love it, you see. You do, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to come
Gorgeous.
next week and do the...
Yeah, I really like the
you.
look of that. I
Never-
love the colours.
Do you want to
in
see
that
yours
one.
from a distance?
Yeah, go on then. 'cause I'm
Before we
not
put the
not
path
so-
in. That's lovely. I won't put them on the screen
Yeah,
until
it
you've
is.
finished.
They are better when you
Oh,
get them from
look.
a.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Really lovely.
Absolutely beautiful.
I-
It is Viv, isn't it?
It is
It's Viv, yeah.
I do.
Hold it up, let me see it nearer.
That's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
So yours. I just. I just love it.
I do like it because this is watercolour paper. I like the texture it's giving for
Yes.
these trees.
Yeah.
You don't have to do much, do you?
No,
You've already
you've
got your
you've
bark.
got the texture, yeah.
Right, so I'm going to have to go with a little bit of the dark brown, and I'm just going to rock my pencil on its edge a little bit left to right. So it's hardly colouring at all, but I'm going to leave some of the black show through. And bring some of it into the green.
Sorry, what? Sorry.
The dark brown.
Dark brown.
And I'm just rocking in a sort of squished arc very lightly, and
I don't know about squished arcs, Barry.
a rocking motion then, like a rocking horse's bottom. When you came this morning, did you think this would be complicated or not?
When I came and I saw that, I thought, oh, right, out of my league again.
It's amazing though, isn't it? When you do it step by step and slowly and methodically, it takes the fear out of it, doesn't it? Even though we started off with black paper, which for a lot of people it does scare them.
What I thought was, I would never have picked that in 100 years if I was at home thinking, what shall I paint?
Yes.
This wouldn't have been it. But to me, every Thursday's an adventure.
Yes, it is. And also, I mean,
Yes,
you want to
right,
come out of your
you're right.
comfort zone a
I
little
do,
bit.
because otherwise I don't learn anything.
No, and you do stick to doing exactly the same
I
things.
thought I'd just keep painting Lake Trasimeno or...
Yeah. Because my mum didn't, she was very arty and crafty. She's more crafty than arty, but any time she picked up the paints, her on scrap bits of wood or mountboard, she would always do exactly the same scene, and it was just like hills with peninsulas
Yes.
of land,
Yeah.
lakes and fir
Yeah,
trees,
that's it.
and it would either be with a sunset or a blue sky,
sky.
or
Yeah.
or snowy or summer, and it was always exactly the same when it was out of her head. And because she didn't go to classes or anything, even though she saw all the things that I was doing, she'd end up just doing the same things,
Yeah.
and she was happy in that, and that's fine. But you don't ever get any better, do you?
No.
And I think sometimes when there are art groups and they haven't got a tutor in an art group and it's just a group of people, you're only ever going to be as good as the best person in that group, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because they won't be able to try new things because they won't know
No.
how it's done.
No.
Yeah.
So it's a really good way of
And it's like my daughter says, even if you don't particularly like the picture that
you're doing.
you've posted, so just think all the different techniques you're learning.
Absolutely, and you might
Yeah.
think, oh, I could use that for that photograph I took when I was at such and such, or
Yeah.
I was really struggling with my own work, and this technique will really help with that one. So I'm just using a little bit of the yellow ochre and doing a similar thing just right in the foreground here, the ochre pencil, the mustard one, right here, just because this is where the lighter bit is.
What, like in an arc? Or
Yeah, a sort of sweep. I'm not following the path shape exactly as it is in the photo.
all over it?
Just in the foreground, very lightly. It's just to add a little bit of highlight. I might do a couple of tufty bits of grass while I'm at it. Now what's interesting is the rocks are white, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
Better drink my drink. we've been that busy with stuff this week. I've not got, with all my interviews and photography shoots and everything, I've not had a chance to put any of the lessons on art club.
Well, this
Art
is the
stream.
problem of being a celebrity.
It
I think we
is.
need some more people, Harry, around you.
I know. I need
could
more.
be your agent.
There's never any money in it, though, Kath. That's the problem. But I said to the Telegraph reporter, because although it's a stressful and serious subject about the cost of living crisis and how it really is affecting businesses and small businesses, I said I don't want to come across as if I hate my job. I said, because I absolutely love my job, and the only reason I'm still here is because I love my job. At many points over the last few years, we ceased to be a viable business, haven't we, Jackie? Really, by business terms.
Yeah.
When you've only got £100 in an overdraft, and you don't know where your next money's coming in from, that's not technically viable.
It's
But
not, no.
you have to look at the wider picture and hope that things will improve, and you do it because you love it. And I think that's the difference between the businesses that you see open up in town centres of people that think they can just make money. They close so quickly because they realise that it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
And that you do have to just crack on and enjoy what you do. I'm going to use the white pencil. And we know where our light's coming from because we've just spent the last hour and a half doing light on the left. So I'm going to do little curves or semicircles that are slightly wider, almost like like crests of a wave if you're going to do a wave. But vary the shape, make them a bit angular perhaps. And slightly wider in the colour on the left. This will actually be the trickiest bit because you'll think you've gone random.
Yeah.
And what will happen is all your stones will be exactly the same shape. And if you do go wrong, you can always fill it in with a bit of black. So I'm kind of just curves. Let me bring this closer so you can see. So the bottom, the right and the bottom, that's it, Viv, yeah.
Yeah.
They've got nothing on them at the moment, and they may never do. I don't know. Not decided yet. But I'll do some longer angular shapes. Maybe a few little dots. I'll bring some into where the grassy areas are as well. Would you have liked to have done this one, Jackie? Or is this not your kind of thing today? Because I really liked your bird last week, but you didn't.
Do you get to do some of the lessons, Jackie?
Yes, yeah. I have, like occasionally, yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah. I did the bird last week. I'm not very impressed with my effort with it.
Oh, you did well.
It still exists. I haven't done it out.
But if it's a quiet day in the shop and there's a quiet class, then I'll go, Jackie, you can do it. Jump on and do this.
I did a forest one before, didn't I?
Yeah.
Forestish and a landscape one.
I'm
I
just...
sometimes do them on a Monday because I go to Wardington and I'll put out tables and make cups of tea and things like that, and then they get on with it. So sometimes I do it.
We used to do a lot more, didn't we? We used to do... Back in the days when we were at White Line Walk and we had no customers and no students and every day was just empty.
Yeah.
We used to sit down in the classroom because in White Line Walk the whole space of our business was this size.
Right.
Half of it was classroom, half of it was art shop because we had to downsize because of the double rip recession. And sometimes me and Jackie would just sit in the classroom and paint together because there was nobody to serve. We didn't really have any stock then either, did we? Everything was... That was a bad time.
So, silly question, Jackie. Were you into art when you
She is
were
an
Harry?
artist.
Well, sort of. I always liked it at school, and I'm quite into arts and crafts. I do a lot of crochet and things like that. I'm quite into woolly things.
Oh, I do knitting.
Yeah, I like to be a better
Love
knitter.
knitting.
I can knit, but I'm not brilliant. So I've always been into that. My dad was very into watercolour, and I inherited a lot of his things. So
He did a lot of buildings, wasn't he? He liked doing buildings in watercolour.
yeah,
My brother was a watercolourist.
Yeah.
He was ever so good.
mm.
So Jackie is a lot more talented than she gives herself.
Or
No,
she's
not at
not
all.
like
Credit
not at
for.
all, no. I
No.
mean, he did give me some, and our plan was that when we're both retired,
yeah.
we'd
Yeah.
do stuff.
That was my dad's plan when he retired.
Yeah,
It didn't
but-
happen. Same,
No,
same. I know,
exactly.
same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the moral of the story being,
Don't put anything off.
yeah.
No,
Exactly.
because that's what was
So,
happening with my dad. He wanted to buy a camper van and take my mum all over the country
yeah, exactly.
when he retired, and obviously he was gone at 56, so
yeah, similar
that
story.
never happened.
So,
exactly,
yeah.
same with my brother,
Yeah,
and I do think, you know, I'd love him to see what's going on, kind of thing.
So, but yeah, so I inherited quite a lot of watercolour bit.
But you are more talented and skillful than you ever give yourself credit for.
Okay.
You are. I'm dulling it down with a little skimming of a black pencil over some of it because I don't want it to stand out too much.
I was okay at art at school. I was better at that than some things at maths.
Maths. Ugh.
I did O-level art, if anybody's old enough to remember.
No.
O-level.
No? What?
I
What?
remember O-level.
O-level? What is this thing?
I've heard of it.
I've read about it in history books. I'm sure I saw a documentary on them once.
Social history.
I went to a museum with my children, and it had a phone thing that you could pick up, and it said, lift the phone to hear so-and-so speaking about what life was like in the 1990s.
Yeah.
Mind you, the museum had that
And that's it.
1980s thing, didn't they?
So I decided, I am so old, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous now.
I can remember it up.
You're in a museum, the 1990s, it's in a museum, okay.
Yeah.
That was a good few years ago.
Yeah, but that would be the same as
Yeah.
when we were kids in the 80s, the 40s being in a museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Because it's the same distance, isn't it? Except more exciting things happened in the... Well, not exciting, but, you know, the more historical things happened. Although I suppose...
Unless it's me.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But the 90s is ancient history to people that were only born 13 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm
Scary stuff,
having
that.
to
It
do
is.
a kind of a new dictionary for my grandchildren who've never heard of swatting.
Oh, really? They don't use the
Having
word swatting?
studying,
Yeah.
Snogging. Never heard of snogging.
Oh, what do they call it then?
Well, they've got all this. They teach me more than I teach them. We're together is the.
Oh, just
instead
together.
Of courting,
Oh, yes, you're together.
we're together. Apparently.
Snogging,
Snogging
wow.
doesn't exist, so I presume you don't
Doesn't
bother
it?
with that.
I don't know.
I wonder what you'll have to ask Joshua what he calls it.
I'm not asking Joshua. He's a 16-year-old boy. I'm not asking him what he calls snogging.
Could you imagine him looking at you?
I'm the woman that used to have to teach 16-year-old boys how to put a condom on.
Yes,
Courgettes.
yes. Mm,
You
Oh
ask
my
Ewan.
goodness.
You ask Ewan.
yeah, I didn't do that at all. Long languages, I didn't have that.
Oh, I don't know how we do it for the money.
But yeah, I'm not asking my son that. No. I
There'll
was
be a-
spending
the-
time with him and he started running, like almost running down the street to try and get away from me. And
Oh,
I heard
yeah.
all these girls were shouting. I said, "Hi, Josh!" I said, "Who are they?" Oh, just
Yeah, you're not allowed to know what goes on.
no. And I heard he met up with some girl in Manchester. I heard that.
Oh, really?
Yes, because they both. Well, she's from Banbury too, but they met up to been at the same football match together. But I'm not allowed to know anything about her.
Of course not.
She supports Manchester City. It's just because she goes to my school. She supports Manchester City.
He thinks he does protest too much or excuse himself.
So it goes.
Wow.
Funny, isn't it, kids? My girls never had a problem with my girls, but my son, he went to Warwickshire College to study forensic art and hated it, so we dropped out. Then we got him into Banbury College. I can't remember what he was studying there, but they had an open evening, and I went to see his teacher, and we sat there, and she said, first of all, she said, I must tell you how very sorry I am for the loss of your mother. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
2 weeks he'd taken off, losing his grandma. He was still very much alive and kicking back. Anyway, he went into his second year, and you know, as a mum, you just know something's wrong.
Yeah.
So I went into his, he's got backpack, so I went into his backpack one night while he was asleep, and there were no books in there. But I think there was a lunchbox and a flask and something else. So we got up in the morning and I went, right, where are you going? Because you're not going to college. And he got a job at Vodafone. And didn't dare tell us that he dropped out of college.
Dear-o.
Right little toe racket.
Mind you, when I was...
He's all right now, though.
Yeah, he owns his own company now and he's doing really well.
Well,
So,
there we go.
yeah.
You see, when I was in primary education, as a teaching assistant, there was one lad, and he needed quite a bit of support, but he came in one Monday morning, and he was looking really sour, and he was like, "Oh, I've got to start wearing glasses," and he got them out, and they're like massive thick glasses they were, and we had to rearrange all of the seating plan, make him sit at the front, and then every time he took them off, we'd say, you need to put your glasses on, don't forget, because you can't see. And it was such a problem. And then I had a meeting with his mom to see how his progress was going, and I said, of course we've making allowances for his eyesight and making sure he wears his glasses. And she looked at me and she was like, what glasses? And I said, he's been wearing glasses for 3 weeks. She said, he doesn't need glasses. And then when I explained them, she said, they're my glasses and I've been looking for them for weeks. So we've been forcing him to wear these glasses, and they're not even his. It's hilarious.
See, I do miss them, you know.
I do I don't think I've got the patience anymore.
Well, I don't think I have, but
Oh, you got someone in the shop, Jackie?
I do say to my son, he's got 2 little boys now, and I do say to him, you wait. You wait.
oh, I
Because you
tell,
are so in for it when they get a bit older.
I tell you what, if I haven't had some fun with my grandchildren,
Yeah.
I think the key is you've got to remember what you were like, haven't you? If you forget,
Yeah.
that's when the trouble starts. You've got to remember that they are.
Well, I have to
just-
say, I did say to my son, you're more like me than the girls are, because I was a nightmare too.
yeah, so was I. You might find that hard to believe, Barry.
I do. I refuse to believe it, Kath. I was a right swat. I didn't cause my mum much problems until I hit my late teens, early to mid 20s. That's when I rebelled. But I think a lot of that was dealing with my loss of my dad.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, I don't think I can do any more. But I'm dying to do something up that top right-hand corner because
Yeah,
it just feels
it's
so
so dark, isn't it?
nothing. Do you know, I might do just a little bit of that light that we put in. Because it looks like we just couldn't be bothered to finish it. And just anything that will help. Bring it together, maybe. I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? Just a couple of lines or a little bit here and there can make the world of a difference. maybe I'll go a little bit lighter with one of the trees. That's better. I've just lightened one of the trees that I did as a sort of disappearing tree. That's a bit better. Small trees in a way, but I think
It's better just having that bit of colour up there. It brings
yeah,
it
just
together,
yeah,
doesn't it?
even if it's more subtle, it ties it together. Otherwise, it can just look quite boring. So we've not even used the sticks of pastels today.
No.
But I don't think we'd have got the control or the definition if we had. Have you enjoyed yourself, Kath?
I have.
Oh, well pleased with that.
So you should be. It's amazing, isn't it, how just a few little strokes and a little bit of light
Yeah.
makes a difference. That's gorgeous, Kath.
I don't know whether have I just ruined that putting those in. I don't think so. Have I?
No, I don't think so. But you could always tap it with your eraser if you want to just soften it a little bit,
Yeah.
because it just takes off a little bit excess, doesn't it?
Oh, that's interesting.
Creates a bit of texture. But I mean, it's supposed to be we want it to feel dark and eerie and.
Oh, yeah.
That's lovely. Do you want to see that on the screen?
Oh, yes,
I'm still
please.
live, but I think it's important that everyone can see what you do. Hey, look at that. It's gorgeous.
I love that.
I think, look at those stones.
I absolutely love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
That's gorgeous.
That is
Yeah.
really lovely. See what yours looks like.
Have I don't think these stones are anywhere near as good as this, but still.
Oh, I like them though.
Oh, look at your
Oh.
trees.
See, it does work.
Oh,
It does, yeah. Yours looks a lot more realistic than mine.
That's really
Oh,
lovely.
I
Beautiful.
so enjoyed that, Barry, and I didn't think I would.
Yeah, me
Ah,
too.
see, sometimes
Me
that's
too.
the thing though, isn't it?
Yeah,
You surprise yourself.
yeah.
And maybe the difference is because it's something that you weren't sure about, you've listened in a different way,
Yeah.
so you've got more out of it perhaps than just coming in and doing stuff that you're familiar with. But I will photograph this and post it in the group. We have finished a little bit earlier today, so it wasn't as challenging as it could have been, perhaps. So thanks ever so much. Take care. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.